Hey y'all, welcome to Water Break with Water Boy and the comedian next door, John Brannian, or Janian. Is that what I called you earlier?
I don't remember what you called me. You sort of mashed my first and my last name together and made the wrong version of it. Yeah,
there's no right version of mashing your name together.
Good to be back in,
it is.
2022.
Yeah,
here we are. You're swallowed underneath a blanket of snow.
We got a foot of snow this last night, and now the problem is that the snow is getting rained on right now, and so I got to go home after the show. I got to go home and try to. I got a long driveway, about 1,000-foot long driveway or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to figure out how to push wet snow, a foot of wet snow out of the way so people can come and park. But there you go. Yeah. Well, it's good to be back on Water Break. You know, as me and John were just talking, shaking all the dust off and getting ready for 2022. We are very excited about all the new content that we're going to be bringing you guys. And we got a lot of new shows planned. And just man, we spent a lot of time actually on break in the studio working on things. You'll probably see some changes here already if you haven't already seen it, but more coming. We got a lot of plans of travel coming, some hopefully one-night shows and some other cities coming. We're working on our conference for October. So we just got a lot going on this year. And if you guys haven't already received the Christmas edition of the Fight Laugh Feast magazine, look at that. That's a beautiful cover, just a beautiful cover. That should be at your doorsteps by now. If it's not, we've had some delays in shipping actually, because of all the snow and COVID or whatever you want to call it at this point. So be paid. Supply chain problems, yeah.
But just ships are stuck out in the ocean and they can't get the magazine.
Yeah, no, our magazine's printed in the U.S., not in China. But if you don't receive it in like the next 2 weeks, just email us, contact@fightlaughfeast.com. We'll make you whole, make sure you got it and everything. And then while we're at it, I know you guys already know about this, but I want to talk to you about one of our newer corporate sponsors here. We love these guys. Very excited that they've come on board this year. And if you're a Christian company that's interested in becoming a corporate sponsor, reach out to us, contact@fightlaughfeast.com. But AR500 Armor, the mission of Armored Republics is to honor Christ by equipping free men with tools of liberty necessary to preserve God-given rights. In the Armored Republic, there is no king but Christ. I love this advertisement. We are free of craftsmanship. Body armor is a tool of liberty, and there's tools of liberty that you need. We create tools of liberty. Free men must remain ever vigilant against tyranny wherever it appears. God has given us the tools of liberty needed to defend the rights bestowed upon us. Armored Republic is honored to offer you those tools. Visit them at ar500armor.com. And support those who are supporting us. The CEO brought us our own armored vests when they started with us, and I love my vest. I've never got one before. I went home that night and ate dinner with it on.
Did you?
Yes, I did. My kids were like, "What are you doing, Dad?" I'm like, "Hey, I just got this new toy and I have to wear it." You know. There you go.
Armor. Did it keep you safe through dinner?
It did. And on the drive home, I can imagine getting a wreck in it and being safe also.
And being fine.
Yeah. All right. So for the cannonball today is January 6th.
Yes.
Ooh. For Christians, we know it as Epiphany Day. What's up now? But I think that the January 6th now has a competitor. And that's the January 6th riots. You know, last year at this time, a bunch of, well, I mean, not all of them were idiots, but enough of them were idiots, went into the Capitol to steal Nancy Pelosi's lectern and I think some toilet paper out of AOC's office. You know, but don't worry, Mr. Tumnus is in jail now, so democracy is safe. Unless you're, vaccinated or you're a conservative Christian singing psalms while not wearing masks or social distancing. And kind of as a side note here, is the proper social distancing still 6 feet apart, or has Fauci's, scientific ceremonial laws been adjusted to account for the Omicron variant? I don't know. Now, I don't want to do what both the Republicans and Democrats are doing, and that is slicing out pieces of what happened January 6th and running with what suits their narrative or the narrative that they want to push. What happened on January 6th is more complicated than what I think both sides want to admit. And no one wants to be honest on what justice should look like. Now, I'm happy to put on trial anyone who, potentially damaged property, physically attacked cops, broke any laws. I don't have any problem with that. That doesn't bother me. Someone breaks a law, they need to, pay for it. Biblical justice matters, which means even the correct naming of the crimes are important. So for example, what happened on January 6th, was it insurrection? No. Mr. Tumnus and a couple of Antifa and FBI agitators do not constitute as an insurrection. I'm sorry. In fact, everyone who so far has, been on trial, so far no one has been convicted of insurrection. Zero. They've all been convicted of some other things that they broke. But if you're going to call what happened on January 6th insurrection, well, let's run with that label. Then you have to label what happened the night of Trump's victory in 2016 as insurrection. Over 200 people were arrested, and not to mention all the property damage that all occurred in Washington, D.C. Over 200 people in D.C. were arrested that night. And then there's the BLM riots in 2020. The 20-plus riots, that's right, 20-plus riots ended with over $1 billion in damages. $1 billion. $1 billion in property damages. Don't forget all those riots happened in liberal-controlled cities, by the way, and that there's about 35 people who died as a result of those riots. Everyone wants to use January 6th as a tool or a political weapon, but no one wants to deal, honestly, with what actually happened on January 6th. But to focus on January 6th, and this is what they want you to do, means that you currently don't have to worry about the current trampling of our nation's Constitution, which is going on. It means you don't have to worry about the millions or so babies that are going to be killed in their mother's womb this year. And don't even question Fauci and our medical industrial complex that because of their, medical malpractice have contributed to hundreds and thousands of deaths, not just in our nation, but worldwide, because everybody's listening to us. But all you have to do is say January 6th. But here's the deal. Don't be played by this. Don't be played by the left or the right in all this. Stay focused on God's word and how he instructs us to think through these things and what his standards are for biblical justice and all this. And you won't be moved. You won't be played by the buzzword of January 6th. And that's a cannonball. What do you got, John?
I was waiting for a sound effect.
Oh, here we go. This one builds up. Not a very good one.
That was a weak cannonball. Here's the thing, Gabe. I wonder if we can't use the mainstream legacy media, whatever you want to call it, if we can't use the media as sort of an indicator for what we don't have to pay attention to. Like you could watch the mainstream news cycle, and everything that they mention, can we safely conclude that all of it is just a distraction from the important stuff that's actually going on, as long as Biden is president? And so anything that they mention, we can go, okay, I guess I don't have to think about that because they want me to think about it. Therefore, it's something that's probably not true.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's exactly right, and we're letting the mainstream media, basically collect a narrative that they want to construct for us. And you saw that especially with the COVID pandemic. I mean, the narrative that they crafted with the COVID pandemic, with Fauci and with big tech and with NIH, because they were all involved with crafting that narrative. I think YouTube was deferring to CDC for the standards of what constitute, good medical information or bad medical information, and what they would, allow on YouTube and what they wouldn't. So the government was working with private industry about what constituted basically free speech on their own platform.
Right.
Now, if
Facebook is still doing it,
and
Facebook still puts a little thing.
CDC, that's
top.
right, CDC.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have a problem with YouTube, allowing whatever they want on their platform or not. But if you're working with the government to define what's acceptable, well, then, that's kind of fascism. That's kind of, what we would call government and big business together is also fascism.
Yeah. Well, we have no problem with people saying whatever it is that they want to say. That is the right. We have the right to do that. You have the right to say whatever lie you want to say. But the onus is, and you alluded to this, the onus is on Christians to discern what's true and what's not true. And the only thing that is guaranteed to be true is the words that are uttered by Almighty God, and everything else is suspect. And as we're parsing through this, we need to be able to go, okay, well, this is a thing that is not true. Therefore, I should not allow it to affect the way I live. And I think almost 100% of the stuff that we get from media is now not true.
Yeah.
So
we can discard it. I'm with you on that. And I think that's how you know as a Christian that you're being pushed and maneuvered when news and media and what's going on out in the world, or what lies are being told out in the world, whatever's going on, it impacts you more than the Bible, than the scriptures, then you're being played. You're part of the pawns in the game that they're crafting for us.
Yeah.
So anchor on God's word, anchor on the rock. Don't let the narrative of the world push you around and make you make decisions. You make decisions based off God's word, and that's where you stand and look at the rest of the world.
It's funny to me how many Christian people are still kind of surprised and kind of outraged when the world doesn't say true things. There's still a fair number of people in the church who are both surprised and still offended when godless people do godless things. Yeah. And they're like, well, what about our rights? What about our freedoms? And it's like, yeah, but if you're expecting godless people to be ethical and moral and to say the truth, that's not going to happen. That's like trying to get blood from a stone. And so save yourself the grief of and the anxiety of complaining about it, and just go, I'm going to tune them out. I'm going to spend no time feeling about them anything.
That's right.
Because they don't deserve it.
That's right. Okay. Now, John, speaking of fake news, because we're kind of talking, basically mainstream media's fake news at some level. I want to jump into our segment on news even John Branyan can trust. And I got to get my country music background going on.
And I still got to say, Gabe, that I'm not sure that I can trust this segment yet. It's still new enough that I'm still, I'm holding out my final proclamation.
All right. Well, but this is real news, though. It's been verified. It's been confirmed. So yeah, man. Well, I guess you could be the
got done saying you can't believe anything in the regular media. We just finished saying that.
How do I segue then, John? I mean, you just where do I go?
That's fine. No, all we need is a caveat. This came from the media, and so it's as real as it can possibly be from that source.
Well, and to be fair, I pull pretty much all of this unless I find another article here and there from Not the Bee. And we trust Not the Bee guys. We like Not the Bee guys. So, all right. Okay. So a major civil rights victory happened in Quebec. Quebec's in Canada. The francophone, nation of Canada. Quebec. They'll like that. They're their own nation. And they will now allow residents to walk their dogs at night so long as they remain within 1 kilometer of their home.
Get out of here.
Dead serious. So that happened. That went into effect on December 31st. So I think it was a happy New Year thing for them. But how far is 1 kilometer? I could think. Is that a mile?
It's less than a mile.
Is it?
Yeah, it's less than a mile.
Like how much less? Like an eighth of a mile, half a mile, quarter of a mile?
I don't know. The metric system. We're never going to convert to the metric system.
I know. We're revealing our metric ignorance here.
Yeah.
But this is a curfew. Okay, the Providence said that between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m., the hours covered by the most recent curfew. So that's apparently they got to go in the house before 10 p.m. Quebecers can take their dogs out with a radius of no more than 1 kilometer from their permanent or temporary residence.
So, I always go immediately to how do you police this? Is this a thing where you go out, you've got a
That's funny.
You've got a 1 mile like rope or 1 kilometer rope that you attach to your front porch?
I think they stop
rope,
you. I think they actually if they see you walking, they'll come and talk to you and say, you know, where's your home of residence? Where's your house?
Where did this walk originate?
Yes, and then they'll ask for your address.
Yeah.
And so John, I'm different from you. You go to, you resort to how do they police this? I resort to how can I fudge the rules?
Right.
So if can I walk with a
that's what
tent?
I'm doing too.
Can I walk with a tent in my backpack? Temporary residence.
I'm living in it. What if you live in your car?
Yeah. What if you build or construct like a hat that is kind of like a tent on top of you, and so you can kind of just like walk inside your tent with your dog all over the place?
Mm-hmm. What if you give your dog a different residence than your own?
Ooh, because who knows where he identifies his residence?
Right. Well, are you talking to me, or are you talking where my dog lives? Well, where does your dog live? You can just point to whatever house happens to be nearby and say my dog lives there temporarily.
Yeah, temporarily. Or you could get a red wagon and pull the doghouse behind you while you're walking him.
There are a lot of options. So to our friends in Quebec, you're welcome.
Yeah.
We're helping you out.
We'll help you.
It is stunning to me that this is a freedom. Are they supposed to celebrate? Are they supposed to
I don't know.
say thank you?
Yeah.
Is this a thing that their politicians are going to run on? You know, we got you a whole kilometer for walking your dog last year.
Well, apparently,
charge again.
Apparently, this went in effect on December 31st, so they're trying to get people all excited for the New Year's celebration or whatever in their house or 1 kilometer away with their dog, or something. I don't know. All right, so the states with the highest percentage of outbound moves have something in common. What do you think? What do you think? All the states, the outbound moves. I'll go through the data here in a minute.
California.
Oh, you okay? Well, all right. California was number 1. What's number 2?
Probably another one on the West Coast. Probably. It might be New York.
Yes, nice. New York, number 2. Okay, this is getting a little harder. What's number 3? Okay, this is this is net domestic migration by state. So basically, how many citizens are you losing versus how many people moved in? What's that net number that you lost based on in-migration, out-migration, and everything? So California's lost over 360,000 people in 2020.
360,000 intelligent people.
And actually the data goes from July 1st, 2020 to July 1st, 2021. So it's July. So California's lost over 360,000 people. New York has lost over 350,000 people. And what's number 3, John?
I'm gonna guess it's another liberal state. I'm gonna say, is it Washington State?
Ooh, man, no. Washington is last on this list. Okay, but
it is on the list.
But it is on the list, but it's last. Actually, Washington, like last. They only lost 29 people. So
29.
Surprising, but that's because Facebook and Amazon have moved headquarters up there in Seattle. So I think they've had enough pull and enough basically money attracted people to move in, despite you got to have a vax to go to a restaurant now or something in the city of Seattle.
So number 3 would be, is it Illinois?
Oh, you killed it. You nailed it. Illinois. Yeah, because their mayor is so horrible. Illinois had lost 122,000 people. Then it goes to Massachusetts with 46,000 people they lost. Louisiana. So Louisiana is actually on this list, 30,000 people. New Jersey, D.C., Maryland, Minnesota, Hawaii, Virginia, Michigan, North Dakota lost 6,000. Kansas lost 5. Mississippi lost 4,000. Alaska lost 3,000. Nebraska, Pennsylvania. So kind of the bottom states are kind of like the 2,000 to 5,000 range and everything. But what's kind of the common denominator with, a majority of those states? John? Anybody? John?
They're, well, except for Alaska, they're controlled by leftists.
That's right.
The ones that lost the majority. Yeah.
Yep. And all right, now on those who gain more than lost, okay, the states that gain more than lost, you had Florida at number 1 with 220,000 people, right. Texas at number 2 with 170,000 people, Arizona, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Idaho, Utah, Nevada, Oklahoma, Alabama, Montana, Arkansas, and then finally you get to Maine, but I think Maine still has a Republican governor. Missouri, Indiana. Does Indiana have a Republican governor?
Indiana?
Yeah.
No, Holcomb I don't think is a Republican. At least he doesn't act like a Republican.
Okay. Well, you guys got 14,000 people in migration, new people into Indiana, and everything. So that's the states with the highest percentage of outbound moves. That's news you can trust, John. Lastly, a new French law will require, this is just ridiculous, car ads to promote walking or cycling, like health warnings on a cigarette package. That's a
where is that in the United States?
No, that's French. New French law.
Oh, France.
That's okay. France. This is like not Quebec. This is actually France.
So they have to have pro like bicycling mentions in their automobile advertisements,
in their TV advertisements, and get this, they will, if they don't display that message in their TV commercial, it'll result in a $50,000 is it francs? Euros? They use euros? Euros. $50,000 in euros, which translates to us about $72,000 fine.
for not promoting walking.
I like when news that can trust gets John Brannian to laugh.
Well, we were talking before the broadcast about how it's insane now that the real news is a parody itself.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to write comedy about current events because current events are comedy in themselves. That's a sketch.
Yeah.
If you're making people who are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to advertise their product have to undermine that product.
Yep.
We want you to buy our car, but before doing that, please give some serious thought to buying a bicycle or a horse before you get
a horse. Though a horse probably releases the wrong kind of carbon emissions still. You probably can't say horse.
We would like you to think about buying the 2022 model of automobile.
The Schwinn.
But first, have you thought about a horse? Let's go through the benefits of owning a horse. Let's go through the benefits of walking. And then if you still want to buy our car, we will reluctantly sell it to you.
There's got to be a way where like the automobile industry can can like play with this in such a way where they're being, they're obeying the law, but undermining it so bad. Right. Like, hey, you should think about, buy our automobile, or, the law requires us to tell you to buy a horse or a bicycle, but our automobiles have 220 horses.
Right. Well, I would definitely, if I was a French automobile manufacturer, I would definitely look at that law and specifically find out what the parameters are. And then, yes, I would love to produce a commercial where it's got like somebody on a bicycle, they're riding along on a bicycle, and then my car goes by and just splashes mud all over them on the way past.
Or have the car like veer the bicycle off the path or something,
Right.
or, you know,
Right.
get off the road. This is our
Spook
road.
the horses. Yeah, it's like you can.
Come up behind a herd of horses and honk.
Right.
Watch these 220 horses that you can't control. We have 220 horses that you can control with your foot.
There's a bicyclist and a guy in an automobile side by side, you know, going down the road, and the bicyclist is like, they go through a cloud of insects, and the bicyclist has just got a mouthful of bugs, and the guy just turns the windshield wipers on the car.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be a way that you could,
Yeah.
you know, effectively
Obey the law, but
cover all
make
the
it look
bases.
so bad.
Right.
And that's, man, if I had some marketing dollars across politics, we could film some of those clips and use them for
And
marketing.
sell them to
Yeah.
the French automobile manufacturers.
Totally. That's great.
We got to do it anyway.
That's great.
We got to make them anyway, and
Yeah.
and put a little money in the coffers.
Yep. All right, guys. Hey, we got more coming up on the Sunday special, actually talking about the Capitol riots. So tune in for that. Don't miss it. We got a good interview coming from some sort of conservative in the some sort of conservative pastor in the United Methodist Church. So tune in at Sunday night, 7 p.m. Pacific time. John, what do you got coming up next week on The Comedian Next Door?
Next week on the Comedian Next Door,
Yes.
we are talking about. We just recorded it. Now I don't remember what it is. We've been talking about being careful with words for the past couple of weeks,
Okay.
and how we live in a culture now that is not careful with words, and people tend to speak in platitudes, and as a result, well, we had a short story of a guy who said, he used the phrase, "I've got bigger fish to fry," in reference to, this was a pastor saying, "I've got bigger fish to fry," in reference to getting ready to do a funeral for a member of the church. And right. And so we were talking about how he meant to say, "I'm overwhelmed. I've got a lot on my plate right now."
Right.
But he said, "I've got bigger fish to fry," and we have to be careful with our words.
Yeah.
So we're talking about that.
That's not very sensitive.
No. But he would be shocked if you were to say that. If you were to say, "What do you mean you got bigger fish? There's more important things than this guy's funeral?" He'd go, "No, that's not what I meant."
Yeah.
Right, but that's what you said.
Yeah.
So.
Well, very good, man. Well, always good to see you. And everybody else who's going to tune in to next week with what's going on in Comedian Next Door and our Sunday special, we appreciate it. Make sure you guys share the show. That's a real currency for us. Send the podcast to your friends. And so thanks
Bother
for
your friends with it.
yes, bother them a little bit.
Annoy them.
So thanks for tuning in. Until next time, go love God and fight, laugh, and feast. This is The Water Break.